My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my ranking of Terry Gilliam's filmography from worst to best. And I was planning on watching and reviewing every one of his movies, but I don't like him. Nope, no. This was a tough marathon to get through. There was a bunch of movies I watched, and I didn't have anything interesting to say about them, so I didn't film a review, and after a while, I just called it quits. I'm not going to watch anymore. So, The Imaginarium of Dr. Panassis will not be on this list. Tide Lane will not be on this list. Jabberwocky will not be on this list. And The Adventures of Baron Munchausen will not be on this list. Terry does have a distinct style, a very specific kind of humor, but it just doesn't click for me. I found his movies to be very unengaging, and just being honest, the bottom 5 movies of his I hated. So, the worst one is one I actually watched a few years ago, and it's The Man Who Killed Don Quixote. I don't really remember much of this movie, but I do remember being miserable watching it. I do remember it was boring, and if I don't remember anything about it, that's a very bad thing. So I despised it, and that's why it's last place. In the second worst position is The Brothers Grimm, which is a shame because I was hoping to love this movie. I feel like it could have been a really cool dark fairy tale, but in its execution, it is just so unbelievably bland. I never cared for any of the characters. It's never fun or interesting or really all that well made. It's just a movie that did nothing for me. His third worst movie is going to be a real hot take, but it's Time Bandits. I just watched this movie and I don't really remember too much about it. I do remember the ending was weird, but I can't even recall what happened. Some good production design, but I just found this movie to be very unengaging, and for a kid's fantasy movie like this, you need to be entertaining, and I found this movie to be very bland and lifeless, so that's why it's number 7. His fourth worst movie is The Zero Theorem, and there are some interesting visuals here, but I forget what this movie's about. His movies are just so forgettable. It did nothing for me on an entertainment level. It did nothing for me at all. It's just... It's Jonathan Pryce, right? It's like sci-fi. What even? I don't recall. I just do not recall. This movie was boring, and it was very uninteresting, so that's why it's number 6. His fifth worst movie is going to be a real hot take because this is most people's number 1, but it's Brazil. And the movie does have some interesting visuals, and I'm sure if I cared to, I could really look into this movie and pick up all the deeper meanings and all that. But there has to be some level of engagement, and this movie is just void of that. It's not a movie that held my attention at all. And look, I'm an easy guy to entertain, and I love movies that make you think. Like Donnie Darko is really terrific, and it requires you to think. And this movie, yeah, I did like the bum 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 scene, but everything else is pretty forgettable. His sixth worst movie is The Fisher King, and this movie is just trying so unbelievably hard. it is so overly sentimental, and it just felt bogus the entire time. None of the emotional beats landed, and it's a very simple movie where you can see everything that it's doing from the get-go, and even in its execution, I found it to be lacking. I love Robin Williams, and I do like Jeff Bridges, and I do think there's some good ideas here, but at 2 hours and 20 minutes, the movie just ends up lost, and it's not a movie I'd ever go back to. His 7th worst movie is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and this movie didn't quite work for me, but I do understand the appeal here. The beginning of this movie I actually found to be really funny and interesting, but then it became rather one note and quite stagnant, and it just wasn't my cup of tea. Johnny Depp is great here. Tobey Maguire is good for the short time he's in this movie, and I believe it was Benicio del Toro as well, but yeah, this starts off strong enough, but it loses steam pretty quickly. But now we get to the top 2, and the second best one is 12 Monkeys, and I'm not even big on this movie. I do think there are some cool ideas, it's well acted, especially Brad Pitt, and I like the ending, but the rest of the movie is so unengaging throughout, and it's just a movie that never really gets too good, you know? It's just a movie that you see potential throughout, but it's never effective for me. And then we get to his best movie, and it's the only movie of his I actually like, but that said, it is still overrated, and it's Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Now, this movie is iconic, it is a classic, and it definitely has its funny moments. The troll bridge scene, the Black Knight, how do you know she's a witch? Because she looks like one. It does have its moments. But those moments are too few and far between, and you kind of forget just how bland so much of the rest of the movie is. There's still enough here to like, but it's not a movie that I love as much as I once did. It's fine, it's serviceable, and it's Terry Gilliam's best movie. So, to put it politely, this guy, not for me. I will probably never watch any one of his movies again. But what's your ranking of his filmography? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin out.